We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ah, yes. Hello, Friday. Friday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN. And my goodness, we've got an unbelievable show for you today. We are a day away from the Final Four. I am so fired up for the Final Four. 4 1 seeds. We've been talking college hoops all year. These are the 4 teams that we said were the best teams in college basketball ever since the middle of February. This is going to be an epic Final Four. Jon Crispin, Penn State legend, ESPN superstar, Sirius XM host, Field of 68. I mean, this guy does everything. He's going to join us coming up at 3:30 Eastern Time. We have a lot of basketball, a lot of NBA, a lot of baseball, a lot of plays on Major League Baseball. We've got the Colorado Pro Day that is going on as we speak, and that means we're going to get into the NFL draft and some future bets. And listen, I was just chatting it up with our guy Sean, who runs the entire control room back in Vegas, and his right-hand man, Larry, who does an unbelievable job as well. And all these guys are doing in Vegas today, and all I'm doing in New York, our producer Mike Cohen in New York, all we're doing is watching day ball. I mean, my goodness, there is nothing quite like day baseball. There's so much to bet on in-game, so much to bet on before the game. Let's start with the Tigers and the White Sox. It is 6-1, opening day in Detroit. The crowd is pumped up. Captain Jack is getting you high tonight. Pardon me, Billy Joel. I mean, this is tremendous. If you're a Tiger fan, you got to feel really good about everything. Jack Flaherty taking care of business. First game in a Tiger uniform this time around for this season. Obviously, he was there, had a cup of coffee before. Now he's the big ticket free agent after winning a championship. 6-1, Tigers taking care of business going up against the Chicago White Sox. Now, we have the Red Sox in their home opener today, New England's living room, and Alex Bregman hit a home run yesterday. He got a thunderous ovation today. My play on this one, and I said it on radio today on Sirius XM on Shine On Sports, I love the over, and I'm surprised. The over was 9 when we played it at -110. And, you know, Walker Buehler getting the nod for the Red Sox, figured he might give up some runs. So we're getting close, and it's obviously early, so we feel great about that. Played the over with the Boston Red Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals, and we're on track for that. So far, not on track for this one with the Cubs and the Padres. Cubbies came into this one with a major pitching advantage, and listen, we were picking the Padres to keep the good times rolling, so we will continue to do so. It is 1-1 right now when you look at the Padres and you take a look at the Chicago Cubs. And we are now, we played the Padres this morning, +145. +145 when you look at it for the San Diego Padres. Obviously, Mangala is outstanding, and, you know, going with Shota, who is just incredible. I know that was the conventional wisdom play, and it goes no to pitching matchup-wise. Cubbies were favored in this one, but I'm taking the Padres, so we'll continue to get you up to date. Now, there is a game that is starting in about 7 minutes, and I'm going to give you a couple of plays on this one, right? Mets have their home opener. Remember the old Family Guy skits, you know, with the Mets first pitch and the season's over? What could go wrong for the Mets always goes wrong. I mean, it doesn't just go wrong. It's, you know, in just hysterical, haphazard fashion, because they're the Mets, and you could try and put lipstick on a pig, and at the end of the day, the Mets are still going to Mets. And I love this pitching matchup today for Toronto. We're going to play Toronto money line. Gossman's on the bump. I think that, I know he got rocked in his first outing. Not worried about it. And how about Juan Soto? 2+ total bases plus 130. So we will have 2 plays with the Mets in their home opener. That game is going to start in about 6 minutes from now. So I still have a couple minutes to get a play in. We have the Jays money line at plus 120. Juan Soto, 2 or more total bases at plus 130. All rise for the judge. I'm talking to you nationwide. I'm talking to my guy, Sean, in the control room. Larry's standing, but Sean is still sitting. Maybe Larry was right. I'm confused what Sean does, and it's really Larry who's running the entire thing back in the Vegas studios. I'll tell you, this is what makes Aaron Judge Aaron Judge. Yankees needed a win last night after the bats were ice cold, and, you saw Zach Gallen on Wednesday and make the Yankees look like they were swinging a collective wet noodle. Forget about the torpedo. They could have made contact. They struck out 13 times. So what does Aaron Judge do? He homers in the first inning to give the Yankees some breathing room. And look, they needed it, right? I mean, Cookie Carrasco, nice story. Obviously, he's a cancer survivor. He used to throw 97 in Cleveland. He's down to 93. You don't necessarily want him on pitching every 5th day for your baseball team, but with Cole out and with Heel out, Carrasco had an excellent spring to his credit. He's such a popular player in any clubhouse he's been in. So I'm rooting for him, obviously. And, he got hit a little bit. You knew it was going to be a high-scoring affair. And Judge was able to come through. And it's kind of crazy. Last year, took Judge 28 games to reach 5 home runs. This year, it takes 5 games. He's hitting .417 with 5 homers and 15 RBI. And it's kind of crazy. I want you to take a look at this incredible board that our producer, Michael Cohen, came up with that shows you the odds movement for Aaron Judge when it comes to AL MVP. Look at this. This is a week and a day. My goodness. All the money's coming in on Aaron Judge right now, and I get it. And I picked Bobby Witt Jr. for MVP. Judge was number 2 on my list. Judge is a notoriously slow starter. So this to me is noteworthy here in terms of Judge and where he is with the MVP. And that shows you the blistering hot start. Look, Aaron Judge has put together 3 of the greatest seasons in the history of American League Baseball, with a couple of seasons in the 50s for home runs, one obviously in the 60s. And I really think that Aaron Judge right now, to go from plus 310 to minus 125, that is absolutely crazy. And, it's interesting. You look at the Yankees profile board, 4-2. Excellent start to the season. Excellent job. Just murdering the baseball at home, doing a hell of a job. So, and look at that with the division odds. Again, I still have Boston winning the division, but right now, according to our friends in Vegas, it's plus 140 in terms of the division odds for the New York Yankees. Much more on Major League Baseball coming up in a little bit. We had a great game featuring megastars and a great rivalry last night in the NBA. Warriors go on the road and beat the Lakers. And how about the fact that Golden State is 20-4 since the Jimmy Butler trade, 19-2 with Butler and Curry on the floor together. Steph is averaging 28 points since the trade, 22 per game before the trade. Sometimes stats lie. This tells you everything that you need to know. LeBron was great. Steph was great. Luka Doncic was awful, and I love Luka. I love the trade. I was so disappointed. Missed every 3 that he took. 0 for 6 last night. Lakers took an early lead in this one, and then it really was all Golden State. Austin Reeves tried to get the Lakers really back into it in the 4th quarter, but they could never really, climb that kind of gap and ultimately get over the hump. I want you to take a look at the Western Conference standings and odds, and, it's interesting. Right now, take a look at Denver, Lakers, Warriors, Grizz. I want you to focus there for a second, because the Lakers are a game behind Denver, and the Lakers are a game ahead of Golden State. I don't think Memphis can do anything in the playoffs. I'm just not a believer in any way, shape, or form. That's been well documented here on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. If the Lakers host the Warriors, I think the Lakers win that series. If the Warriors end up hosting the Lakers, I think Golden State wins that series. Like, we can talk matchups. We can talk. I think home court would be everything when it comes to ultimately who would win those series. Also, take a look at the odds to win the conference. You know, I want to stress, I think OKC is beating everyone. But right now you have Denver plus 650. And then I get it. The next team out west is Golden State at plus 700. So I think that a lot of folks in Vegas paying attention to what the Warriors are doing since the Butler deal and what they did on center stage against the Lakers last night. Colorado Pro Day today. Technically, they're calling it a showcase because, you know, it's Dion, and it's a showcase. So it's really interesting when you take a look at the conversation for where Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are going to go. Travis Hunter didn't really do anything at the showcase. Shedeur's throwing as we speak. You know, it's interesting when you look at the third overall pick odds, and I want to give you conventional wisdom for a second, because I think this is important. And stay on this for a second, guys, with the odds. I think Abdul Carter's going 2. I think that's conventional wisdom right now. I think for the Giants, they're going to have a decision to make. I think that the play is to bet on Shedeur Sanders going 3rd overall. The Giants have to get a quarterback. Now, can they take Hunter and then get super aggressive? Because if Sanders doesn't go 3, he'll fall a little bit, right? Jackson Dart is certainly a legit first-round quarterback as well. But if they draft Hunter, they need to still find a way to get Shedeur Sanders. There's no question about that, which is why I think Sanders, if you want to talk about best bet to go 3rd, listen, I personally think Hunter's a better player than Shedeur Sanders. Giants need the quarterback. The best bet on the board would be Sanders at plus 320. I mean, the Giants can't go another season where they punt the most important position in sports, can they?
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The VSiN Summer Special is here. From Augusta to the NFL Draft, MLB, NBA, NHL Playoffs, Kentucky Derby, you name it. VSiN Pro has you covered all summer long for just $59. Sign up now and get the expert picks, including our best bets for the Masters. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app. Plus our Kentucky Derby betting guide and NFL betting guide when it drops this summer, setting you up for winning football season. Every sport, every edge, one price. Get full VSiN Pro access now through August 1st for just $59 at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSiN, VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Time to shine on basketball. And honestly, I can't wait for the Final Four. This is going to be just an unbelievable show and a showdown. And this is why you love sports. And honestly, I don't want to hear about lack of Cinderella. I mean, that was always a tired, asinine, dopey storyline going into the Sweet 16. Seriously, do you know a real live human being? I'm not talking about a bot or, some Twitter tough guy who is looking for attention, a look at me host. I mean, do you know a human being saying, man, if only Colorado State would have won? I can't believe we don't have UC San Diego. Or like in prior years, I miss St. Peter's, or I'm dreaming about FAU. Please, that's garbage, nonsense, and amateur hour. We have the 4 best teams in college basketball playing, and this is great. And I even want to take you back, right? This is what I love about our show, what I love about Make It Rain with Adam Schein, what I love about VSiN, what I love about all the great guests that we've had on, and, all the great shows that our guy Michael Cohen has put together. We are not a Johnny-come-lately show. We've been talking college basketball in some way, shape, or form every single day, all season long. And specifically, we've amped it up from the end of football season on. And that's important. Because literally, the 4 teams that we've called the best in the country are all playing. Duke, Florida, Houston, Auburn. And there was a period of time, this, and take a look at the odds to win the college basketball championship. Auburn and Duke were the top 2 teams on Make It Rain with Adam Schein on our official power rankings. That's what we had. That's what we believed. And, that was the conversation. And really, it shifted in terms of Duke unequivocally being number 1, even though they were always my pick to win it all, when Florida beat Auburn February 8th, that kind of changed everything in terms of the mentality. Houston was never my number 1 or number 2, always in my 3 to 5. Look, we liked the upside of St. John's or Michigan State or Gonzaga or Tennessee. But these were the teams. So to get this kind of action, to get these kind of great teams and great games, you could call me a snob, or I just love sports. I love high-level hoops. I mean, look at the coaches, right? For Duke, you have Jon Schein, who's just amazing. And, Todd Golden, I had him on my Sirius XM radio show. He's so smart. Analytics, meet ball, what he gets to in terms of the toughness and resiliency, his words for this team, what they did against Auburn in February, and then at the end of the SEC regular season, then in the SEC tournament, then at the end of the UConn game and the Texas Tech game, and Houston. I mean, they spanked Tennessee. Houston's on a 17-game winning streak. And now Auburn, just amazing. I kind of bristle at Auburn at plus 550, having the longest odds, but make no mistake, as we segue into the games, Duke's the pick. Duke's the pick. Duke's the team. Duke's going to win. Duke's going to cover. I love Duke. All season long, you know it. You've been tweeting along with the show. Duke, 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 Duke. Duke. I just love watching Jon Scheyer's team. And listen, we locked it in on Monday. We locked it in as best bet yesterday. Duke will lay the 5.5 against Houston. That, to me, is the best bet here of the Final Four. And listen, we've been betting Duke all season. And we were betting Duke even in the regular season, as you know, when they were 3 touchdown favorites against the likes of Wake Forest or Miami. And they would just constantly cover the spread, or against Illinois on that Saturday night. And I told you, they would absolutely crush people. And I know there was one game this tournament that we lost on Duke. That was when Caleb Love, who used to play for Carolina, who beat Coach K in his final game. He went off at the end. Fine, we'll take that. But I think it's going to be a great game. I think for 30 minutes it's going to be supremely competitive. And then I think Duke is going to beat Houston by 7 to 12 points. So that's where I'm at when it comes to Duke and Houston. Florida, Auburn, honestly, don't bother me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Larry and Sean, stop bugging me. Matt is, blowing up my phone during all these games. I mean, it's enough, guys. I want to just follow this game. And honestly, I'm nervous. I want you to take a look, and this is going to sound crazy. I don't even want to play this one with the points. Take a look at the game board, right? And I'm picking Florida to win. I just think Auburn, John Broome is so great. Bruce Pearl's so great. My play is just going to be Florida money line. Like, I'm not even touching it with the points. Just give me Florida money line. This is going to be a classic. I can't wait for it. I think that Clayton Jr. is just amazing. He's playing like a mini Steph Curry, and I'm usually hesitant to throw things like that around, but you see what he's done in big spots. He had 19 points in the game in February against Auburn that I mentioned, obviously. Majestic when you look at what he did in San Francisco this past weekend, and obviously what he did to save Florida against UConn. Obsessed with this Florida team. We are going to roll here with the Florida Gators. So we will go with Duke and we will go with Florida. And I really think this is going to be a Final Four for the ages. I don't want to hear about, where the double-digit seeds, or, it's only the second time since seeding started in 1979 that we have all the 1 seeds and the Final Four. That's garbage. That's nonsense. I think this is absolutely amazing. I think it's great for basketball. I think, sure, you have obviously transfer portal, NIL, but this is consistent with the year. There's nothing flukish or freakish about these teams, right? I know they say, I didn't think it happened in the NCAA tournament. No, not this year if you've been paying attention. And I'm here for it, and I love it, and I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to bet on it. So we'll go Florida money line, and we'll lay the 5.5 with the Duke Blue Devils. When you take a look at the NBA, and we mentioned, obviously, at the start of the show, everything that transpired with the Warriors and the Lakers, I thought it was really interesting to see what Giannis Antetokounmpo did last night. 6th straight game with 30 or more points, new career high in assists as the Bucks beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And Sixers, by the way, trying to capture the flag, as in Cooper. And, you know, they've shut down everybody. They're not even trying here. They're trying to get as many ping pong balls as possible to, you know, scam and beat the system and, you know, trust the fake process that Sam Hinkie created. There was no process. It'd be ironic if this turned out to be the year that they actually got the number 1 pick in the draft. That would be fascinating, right? Giannis, absolutely incredible. 35 points, 20 assists, 17 rebounds. Tremendous, tremendous job here by Giannis Antetokounmpo. I will tell you, though, as a Knicks fan, I would much rather play the Bucks than the Pistons in the first round. I don't trust, if I'm a Bucks fan, I don't trust Doc Rivers. Obviously, Dame is hurt. I just checked my watch. It's not Dame time. My watch is broken. Literally, my watch is actually broken. But I think it's going to be one round and done here for the Milwaukee Bucks, and I can't wait to bet against them in the NBA postseason. The Grizzlies snapped their 4-game losing streak and snapped Miami's 6-game winning streak. How about Ja Morant calling game with a buzzer beater? Of course, he couldn't help himself. You know, this is a guy who's been suspended for wielding a loaded gun, and, you know, he's doing a gun celebration. I mean, it's just a terrible job by Ja Morant. I mean, you just got to be cognizant of what you can do, what you can't do, and who you are and the attention that you've put on yourself based upon prior transgressions. So, you know, I look at Memphis and, you know, when you look at the Western Conference standings and the Western Conference odds, and I said this about Memphis, you know this, I never took the cheese on the Grizz, even when they were top 2 or top 3 seed. And honestly, I don't want to watch them. I don't want to bet on them. They got Taylor Jenkins fired because he was a coach and not a babysitter. You know, frankly, I'm much more interested in watching Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves, much more interested in watching Ty Lue and his LA Clippers. I just don't believe in the Memphis Grizzlies at all. By the way, you see the odds here for Vegas, right? I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the Grizz record and compare and contrast the odds for Memphis versus Denver or the Lakers or the Warriors, or for that matter, even Minnesota or the LA Clippers. So I am not a fan of the Grizz. I don't like Ja Morant and his act. Give him credit for last night's. That buzzer beater was unbelievable, but I'm really not into anything here when it comes to Memphis Grizzlies basketball.
Watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Put your skills to the test in the Hoops and Horses Pick'em Challenge. Brought to you by our friends over at First Bet. Sign up for free to play at VSiN.com/hoops and horses and make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races and basketball matchups. Top pickers are going to receive First Bet vouchers, so you can ultimately bet on all the upcoming races, including the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, May the 3rd. From the hardwood to the home stretch, play now, VSiN.com/hoops and horses. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Joining us right now, live on the Progressive guest line, one of my all-time favorites, former sharpshooter turned television personality, critically acclaimed radio show host, You see him on ESPN. You listen to him, of course, on Sirius XM, Westwood One. I mean, this guy's bio is off the charts. My guy, the great Jon Crispin. Jon, how are you?
I'm good. Like I said a few minutes ago, I got a shred of relevance left in me for a couple more days at least.
I can't wait for the Final Four this weekend, Jon.
No.
And listen, you're relevant all the time. Let's be crystal clear. And look, I love your reaction when I say I can't wait. I mean, I don't care if this makes me a snob. I don't need Cinderella. I've said this before in prior years. I don't need the 12 seed in the Sweet 16. I don't need FAU in the Final Four. I want the best teams, the best programs. Yes. I want to watch the best basketball, and I can't wait for Saturday.
Look, I think that's something we lost over the last few years with college basketball being the way it was. You know, business was done underneath the table and you didn't really know who was getting what. And you had parity. And while parity is good to a degree, you don't find the best teams in the NCAA tournament. You find the teams that are able to be better on that day. Whereas right now, we have the best 4 teams in college basketball. I don't think anyone's arguing that fact. And if the NCAA tournament is truly about finding the best team, which it hasn't been in years past, it's been about finding the team who could win the most and stay the longest. We have finally the 4 best teams, and it's inarguable. It is obvious. I understand there's some concern maybe about an Auburn. I think it's fictitious vulnerability. Why is it fictitious vulnerability? Well, because they went through the SEC. Did they get exposed or did they get challenged? Are you better because you got challenged? Yes. So I think there are a lot of things. There's good storylines coming in. There's kind of this season of an inevitability with Duke, where you saw the ceiling of this team early this season, and then you saw them get better and better and better. I would argue that we might be witnessing one of the last great teams, and you got to define that greatness term. You got to define it. They are unique in the sense that they look like they've been playing together for 4 years. You know, this new time of free agency, it's going to be hard to find great teams. They're one of the last great ones, kind of like UConn the last two years.
Actually, I see a lot of similarities between this year's Duke team and
Yes.
UConn over the last couple of years. And, you know, fictitious vulnerability. My goodness, what a brilliant way to phrase it on Auburn. And look, we talked about it. I wish I would have used those words. I mean, I would have put it on a T-shirt. I mean, that's great. Auburn's still fantastic, and we made sure to stress that. And if anyone didn't believe that, well, take a look at what they did in the first few rounds of the NCAA tournament. Michigan State, to me, Jon, was never in that game. Love Bruce Pearl, love Janai Broome. So what do you expect out of Auburn? These 2 teams have met, obviously, in the regular season. Had both coaches on my Sirius XM radio show. Obviously, Golden played for Pearl in Israel and worked for him at Auburn. I can't wait for this matchup.
No, I think it's going to be a really good one, and it's going to be even better because of the familiarity, right? The familiarity you have with an opponent allows you to go into a scout differently. Everybody scouts tendencies, they scout plays, but when you understand that team and what makes them really good, you scout style, and you figure out what style of game you could play that gives you the best percentage chance to win, right? Scouting is not just like, oh, what do they do? How do we stop it? That might have been scouting in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, even when I played in the late 90s, where you run a play and this is how we're going to cover it. You don't do that anymore. It's about how can we create a style of play within the game that allows us to win. Florida wants to get up and down the floor, and frankly, they're better than Auburn at that. They've got more versatility, better length from every position, and up and down the floor, the way they flow, it's almost as if the music just never stops. If Auburn can slow it down, they've proven that they can win in a grind. Look at the Tennessee game earlier this year. I think the score was like 53-51. It was terrible on the surface if you look at the score, but it was a fun watch. It was a battle. And Auburn did the same thing against Michigan State. They turned it into a grind and said, go ahead, we can beat you at what you do best. And that, to me, showed a versatility in Auburn. And that's why I came up with that term, like this fictitious vulnerability, where it's like they had to learn that they could do both. They had to learn that they didn't just have to play fast and be freewheeling. I mean, look, we've seen Bruce Pearl teams in the past just get up and down the floor, make a ton of mistakes, play through those mistakes. this is a team that is okay slowing it down. And I think it gives them more of an advantage being the underdog, and I'll use air quotes for that, right? They're the underdog from a betting standpoint. I think they have the advantage because they're not going to allow Florida to play the style of game that they want to play. Turn it more into Revolutionary War style basketball. Your turn, my turn, right? Redcoats on one side and our Army on the other, right? Your turn, my turn, Auburn wins. If it's free flowing and the music never stops, Florida wins. It's really simple. I mean, talk about a live bet game. This would be mine.
Yeah, well, I want you to slam that home, right? I do think live betting on this one is something I will engage in the audience as well. Obviously, yep. Clayton Jr. has just been superb and, Steph Curry-esque when you look at how he's played during this NCAA tournament yes. and what he's been able to do against UConn, against Texas Tech. So take us through the impact for Clayton in this game. And, John, who are you picking, Florida or Auburn?
Yeah. Look, I think Clayton's been huge because it's not just that he sets the tone. It's not just that he's an initiator and a facilitator and a playmaker and a shot maker. He really starts the music. And if it ever stops, he keeps it going, right? There have been times where they haven't been able to get a bucket, so they go to Clayton and he gets something happen. He ends up at the foul line. He hits the big three to go up. Like, there are so many plays he makes. If you're Auburn, it's as simple as how can we disrupt their music? It's really easy. And if you're watching this game early, find out how many possessions are won in transition and find out how many possessions are won in the half court. And then look at the percentage of those possessions. You're going to say Auburn is actually a better half court team than Florida. And if that's the case, I like Auburn. If the game's in the 60s or 70s, it favors Auburn. If it gets into the 80s, it heavily favors Florida. I look at this game as simply as that because I think they match up well, but it comes down to the style of the game.
I think you're 100% right, and I'm fired up for this game. I've got Florida winning a tight one. Wouldn't be surprised if Auburn won, but you're right. Style is certainly going to dictate the fight here, no question about it. Look, I've picked Duke all year. Preseason, midseason, brackets come out. I'm taking Duke to win a championship. I'm kind of obsessed how they play. Houston's piping hot. Houston plays great defense. Houston's well coached. Take us through what you see, who you're picking here for Duke and Houston.
Well, what's the kryptonite for Houston? And that's the way you have to look at it first. We know what they do well. They defend. They're physical. They're tough. Well, what is it that they do well defensively? They blow up your ball screens. They ambush you when you throw it in the post. And that's how other coaches refer to it. It's an ambush. It's not a double team. It's an ambush. Well, what is the kryptonite to that? It's versatile playmakers who have length to pass over the top of a double team. Duke's got that. Like, they have the ability to welcome the double, which is, again, the kryptonite for this Houston defense. I saw it happen a couple years ago, and I actually had the conversation with Kelvin Sampson. And I said, if I'm your opponent, and I'm crazy, I'm not a coach, so I can't lose. If I'm your opponent, I welcome your double team, I play out of it, and now we're playing 4-on-3. And he kind of shook his head. He's like, well, yeah, but our double team's pretty good. Temple did just that, and Temple, a far inferior team, beat Houston on the road. So I look at this Duke team and say, if Duke can do exactly what Temple did 2 years ago, the style hasn't changed. The approach hasn't changed. They have better scores now from the perimeter, but that's not who they are. They're a defensive-minded team. If Duke can welcome double teams, whether it be a ball screen or feed the post, and then pass out of it, you're playing 4-on-3 if you're Duke. And I think that heavily favors Duke. Everything that Houston does really well, Duke can do even better. And that's why I say it's a season of inevitability for Duke.
So is Duke your pick to not only cover the spread, but win a championship, John?
Yes, absolutely. Auburn or Florida, doesn't matter. Houston doesn't matter. I just think Duke is on an absolute mission. They have every piece, Noah's Ark, two of every kind, and the best player in college basketball, maybe the best player in college basketball that we've seen in a long, long time.
We're on the exact same page, and I think that Cooper is special. I think that John Shire is special. I think the Nipple and Company and Proctor, they're incredible. I think it's inevitable, and honestly, I'm here for it. This is the most likable Duke team I've seen maybe ever. Right. John, you are the best, my friend. And it's great. A likable Duke team. You got to love sports. John, you're the best. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Nicole Byer, helping you make those rooms flyer. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild! Like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Ooh, fierce! This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Let me ask you a serious question. You ready to take your sports betting to the next level? The Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com. That's your secret weapon. Since 2011, they have been building trusted relationships with major sports books and sports insiders worldwide. They provide the daily updates on what the top professional sports bettors and betting groups are wagering on, so you're always out of the game. But that's not all. They've just launched a cutting-edge AI betting analyst that provides even more selections and reports, giving you the edge you need to win. The best part? You can check out the Sharp Plays free content anytime. Get real-time betting action reports, alerts, and more through email and X directly from the old pros. Plus, explore all their records, including detailed online logs, right at their website, sharpplays.com. With the Sharp Plays, you're joining a team that's never had a losing year. What do you have to lose? Start today and get access to the best betting insights, sharpplays.com. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Time for our news, notes, nuggets, and nightly plays. And, oh, baby, Alexander Ovechkin back in action tonight. We have the Blackhawks and the Capitals, and there are a couple of interesting things here about this, right? We're talking about Ovi being, at the end of the day, 3 goals away from Gretzky. I wouldn't be surprised if Ovechkin, I would not be surprised if he had a hat trick tonight. I will bet him as an anytime goal scorer at minus 135. I think going with Ovi at 2 goals would absolutely make sense. And I think it's important to acknowledge here that, we are talking about something with Alexander Ovechkin that is historic. I mean, this is unreal. Not just, the fact that he's going to move past the greatest hockey player who ever lived, one of the 4 greatest professional athletes of the big 4, baseball, basketball, football, NBA, and Wayne Gretzky. He's moving past Gretzky with ease. And he's doing this when it's all said and done in such an impressive way when the goalies are bigger, the equipment is bigger. And, he's going to want to do this at home. He's got a great connection with the incredible Capitals fans. So I can't wait to bet on Ovechkin tonight to score a goal. If I'm feeling giddy, I might even go with 2, if not 3. I don't think he wants to do this on Long Island this weekend going up against the Islanders. I think that you have to factor in 2. Caps at home. They're pretty solidified where they are in the standings. Chicago plays 0 defense. This is going to be important for his teammates. There's going to be a great emphasis tonight on finding Ovechkin so he can make history in the nation's capital. So I am supremely excited about it. And look, this could be a dreamy year for Ovechkin. If you take a look at the Stanley Cup odds, and right now we could be looking at a top-seeded Washington Capitals team. I know they're basically at 11-1 right now when it comes to winning the Stanley Cup. But, I think Toronto is still very much in the mix, and they got their 9th straight berth in the playoffs. When you look at it, clinched the other day. And, you take a look at the Panthers at plus 650, the Lightning in the East, 11-1. I don't buy the Hurricanes in any way, shape, or form. Getting the Capitals bet locked in before Ovechkin gets the record, that might be a way to go. If you're into sports moments and karma. And here's the other thing about Ovechkin with tonight, right? We've seen this before in the history of sports, Derek Jeter, number 3,000 at home. Cal Rip, there are certain things that just happen in a certain way, right? Tom Brady, Randy Moss, we've seen this before. I just have a great feeling on history and precedent and domination when it comes to Alexander Ovechkin getting it done tonight. How about Trey McBride? He got a new contract, and it's historic. Highest paid tight end in NFL history, 4 years, $76 million, or $43 million guaranteed money, $19 million per year if you're a mathematician. And I know that our guy, Emmy Award-winning Sean, back in our Vegas studios, he was a math major in college, so he's into this kind of stuff. And listen, I had Trey McBride, number 2, for second-team All-Pro. Brock Bowers, the Vegas Raiders tight end. He was number 1 on my list for first-team All-Pro at the tight end position. I had McBride over Kittle. I had McBride over Kelsey. So he's worth it. And I think that when you look at it, with the Arizona Cardinals, with the win total for this year, I think that it's kind of interesting at 8.5. Ooh, this number fascinates me. Really fascinates me. 8.5 for the Arizona Cardinals. I kind of want to grab the over. I think Arizona's moving in the right direction. I'll bet you, I'm not going to touch it now because I bet you this number drops a little bit. I think once Purdy gets his contract, the schedule comes out. I think the Rams are going to have a big over-under. Rams are going to have a monster season. I'm curious to see where the money comes in. Look at that. You can get a plus 100 or 8.5. Don't tempt me with a good time when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals over win total. I'll give it a breath. But I love that for our guy, Trey McBride. Yankees, Pirates. Oh, baby, that is going to be a show tonight. Max Fried, Mitch Keller. That's going to be a lot of fun. Pirates home opener. That's always going to be great. And listen, you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates and, obviously they have, a pitching matchup tonight. But, I think the Yankees will be able to win. I think the Yankees' bats are too good. And honestly, I very much consider, I didn't have the guts. I consider the Max Fried over on strikeouts. I'm not touching this game. I was so annoyed when Fried pitched on Saturday when the Yankees went homer, homer, homer. One of my bets was Fried 12 or more wins at minus 125. He couldn't get that last out in the fifth to secure the win. That did not make me feel good. So you got to get one here if you're Max Fried for my New York Yankees. Is tonight going to be the night that the Dodgers lose? Spoiler alert, no. I love the Dodgers. By the way, Dodgers, Phillies, Bryce Harper was quoted before the game saying, yeah, I think the Dodgers are great for baseball, great organization, spend all that money. Yamamoto is on the bump. I know Luzardo pitched well his first time out. I think Yamamoto is going to have a big-time performance. I'd like the Dodgers to win. Dodgers on the money line. And I think that the Dodgers will be able to take care of business. How about Thunder Rockets tonight? And, SGA over. We've made a killing on that all year long. And that's been great. The Rockets, to me, I can't even in good consciousness tell you this is 1 versus 2 in the Western Conference. I mean, it actually is. I just can't do it. I mean, I actually love the Thunder laying the 6 tonight. And I say actually because it's in Houston. I'm surprised this number is so low. I know the Rockets play great defense. I love SGA over in terms of his point total and the Thunder laying the 6. Nuggets Warriors. We talked about this, piecemeal earlier. There's going to be so many games. It's going to be so much fun down the stretch of the NBA season that are going to matter in terms of the standings. Look, I kind of like Denver tonight. I wouldn't touch this one. Warriors back-to-back. I would steer clear. This is a legit flip of the coin game. I just love that you have, a game and a half separating Golden State and Denver, the 3 versus the 5. This is going to be must-see TV. I'm fired up for it. Women's Final Four tips off tonight. We have Texas at South Carolina. South Carolina is favored by 4.5. I love South Carolina laying the points. UConn at UCLA. UConn favored by 7.5. I've got a UConn laying 7.5, and I think UConn, will stress it again, is going to win a championship. Time right now to give out our best bets. Brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of Visa. G-Bank is up in the old ante with up to $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa signature customers. First new customers spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening. Receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads in the first 30 days of the opening, you're going to receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now. VEASAN.com/GBank. VEASAN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. We're going to go with the Diamondbacks money line tonight. -148. They just lost to the Yankees. They've got the lowly Nationals as they continue their Northeast trip. Home road doesn't really matter here. So we are going to roll with the Diamondbacks money line as our best bets. Right after Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Follow the money with my guys, Mitch and Paulie. Lon Kruger is going to be on the show. Thanks to Sean, who graduated MIT, Larry and Matt, and all the guys in Vegas, our incredible producer, Mike Cohen. Have a great weekend. Talk to you Monday. Make It Rain with Adam Schein.